Our next task is to create the screen, and the way we're going to do that is we are going to come over here and start our program. You'll of course go ahead and create a new project called Pong, and you'll create a new file in it by right-clicking the folder, saying new Python file, and then typing in the name of your file. I'll call this Pong_toot. Say OK. And here's my Pong_toot file, and in here I am going to first start by calling main, and I'll do that by saying if __name __ is equal to double quotes __ main __. I'm sorry, not one equal but two equals, and then a colon at the end, and we will call main. Right. Okay, so now that we have the call to main, we do need to define it. So let's come up here to the top of the program and say def main colon, and we are going to need a height and width of the screen. So let's create two variables that will contain those values. We'll say width is equal to 970. We'll say height is equal to 520. These are numbers that I just pulled out of my head. You can go ahead and change those if you want your screen to be wider or taller or smaller. And so the next thing that we need to do is we need to create our screen using Pygame. So Pygame, of course, is a set of files that have class definitions in them with which we can create screens and sprites and sound objects. Right? So we'll say Pygame dot display.set_mode, two parentheses, and as an argument to set mode it takes in a tuple. Okay, and what is a tuple? It is another version of an array, but instead of using the brackets we're using the parentheses. Inside the parentheses we're going to give it the width and the height separated by a comma. Okay, so as an argument again is we're going to put parentheses width comma height, and now we should be able to run it. Right, so let's go ahead and right click the tab at the top and say run Pong_toot, and what you should see here is it should say that Pygame is not defined. Okay, and so what we need to do is up at the top you need to say import Pygame. Okay, and notice here that once I do that there's a gray line under the def main. We want to hover over it, and it will tell you what is wrong with your program. And we can see here it expected two blank lines, but instead it found one. This is the blank line they're talking about. They want two blank lines in between function definitions. Right? So let's go ahead and do that. And one of the problems that many of you might have is that Pygame might be underlined red, meaning it's not a part of the interpreter that you're using. So if it is underlined red, then what you need to do is go to the top of the screen and hit PyCharm Community Edition, okay, that button up there, and then go to Preferences. That will make this box pop out. Okay, scroll down to Project, go to Project Interpreter, and what you'll see here is Pygame is not listed here. Okay, so what we need to do is add it. So we're going to hit the plus sign, search for Pygame at the top, and then you'll say install package. Click that, close the box up, and say OK. Okay, and that might take some time for your interpreter to incorporate those files. So it will say loading down here at the bottom of your window. But after that, Pygame will not be underlined red, and you'll be able to run it. Okay, so let's go ahead and run it. And are we able to see it? Okay, so we're not able to see it, but what it's doing is it's creating a screen, and then our program is ending, and then it's coming back to the call to main, and it's ending our program. Okay, so that's where we're at. We have our screen, but it is being created, and then instantly the program is ending. Okay. One last thing I want to add here is that we do want to save the screen in a variable. Right, so this call to set mode creates the screen and returns it, and we need to save it to a variable, and we'll save it in a variable called screen, and later on we're going to be using it to display different objects on our monitors.